Hello, you're with me, the voice of ability for persons with disability. United Nations statistics estimate that over 600 million people live with disability globally, and over 400 million people live with disability in Africa. 40% of Africa's population are made up of people living with disability. 10 to 15% of school-age children in Africa live with disability. Ghana's population is over 32 million, and 8% are people living with disability. How does this impact on persons with disability in terms of policy formulation, marriage and family life, education, healthcare, employment, and so on? For those of us in the disability community, discrimination and stigmatization is the root cause of almost every challenge we face. However, success only comes to those who know how to overcome their challenges and not those who know how to avoid challenges. So join me, the voice of ability and for persons with disability, as I navigate my way through the riveting stories, the unbelievable experiences, and the life-transforming journeys of persons with disability on the Helping Hand TV show. Hello and welcome to another exciting, inspirational edition of the Helping Hand TV show, where we seek to throw the spotlight on the abilities of persons with disability. And like I say, you're welcome. Welcome to my world where disability is not inability. Special thanks to DV Unlimited Company Limited. Special thanks to FCC Fasti Chapel, my proud sponsors. And also special thanks to you for tuning in to your favorite show on TV, the Helping Hand TV show. Allow me to go for a quick break. I'll come back and introduce you to my guest and the episode for today. Stay tuned.
We'll be right back.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, you are with me, the voice of ability on air for persons with disability, and today I want to introduce you to someone with so much ability. Some people call her the greatest friend, others call her the sweet companion, and others still call her the faithful worker. She is dependable, reliable, and adorable, and she's committed to lending you a helping hand anytime, anywhere. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome DV Cleaners.
DV Cleaners Alata Samina Shower Gels, DV Cleaners Aloe Vera Shower Gels, DV Cleaners Body Lotions, DV Cleaners Hair Shampoos, DV Cleaners Hair Conditioners, DV Cleaners Liquid Detergents, DV Cleaners Hand Wash, DV Cleaners Floor Cleaners, DV Cleaners Toilet Cleaners, DV Cleaners Cake Soaps, and now introducing DV Cleaners Hand Sanitizers. For bulk purchase, call us on +233 278 308 246 or +233 244 467 326. DV Cleaners, one of the top most made in Ghana products. DV Cleaners, proudly Ghanaian.
And so remember that anytime you purchase any of the DV Cleaners range of products, you are lending a helping hand to a person with disability, and you are supporting H4P Organization's special advocacy for persons with disability. DV Cleaners,
Nature's finest touch.
Yeah, welcome back to the Helping Hand TV show. With me, the voice of ability and for persons with disability. This special edition of the Helping Hand TV show, we are looking at living with dyslexia. And my guest for today is the executive director for the African Dyslexia Organization, Rosalind Tre Nate. The Helping Hand team visited her at her office, and we had an interesting discussion with her. I'm going to go straight into the discussion. I started by asking her to give us a brief introduction about herself and what she does as the executive director for the African Dyslexia Organization. Take a listen.
My name is Rosalind Tre Nate, and I'm the Executive Director for the Africa Dyslexia Organization. We are an organization that champions awareness, advocacy on learning difference, which I like to term it, which is dyslexia. And dyslexia is mainly to do with the difficulty in reading and writing, which really kind of forms into the encoding and decoding of words. So our focus here is to champion that awareness so our society gets to know that children who are generally struggling in school, that in quotes we call them like blockheaded, are not actually so. It just simply means that their brain is wired differently, and so they process information, they receive and process information differently and learn differently, and so you cannot box them into one. You need to teach them in a multi-sensory way so that it will be more inclusive and holistic, so that if a child who learn it by kinesthetic hands-on, they are able to learn instead of you teaching them with, say, reading and writing. So add on to providing teacher training so teachers receive the right training on instructional models that are very multi-sensory to be able to teach all learners in the classroom. We've been in Ghana for 4 years. We've been everywhere for 4 years. So we started in Ghana here. So we would say that this is our home. And then we do our awareness and advocacy is spread across the continent, where we engage with education institution, government institution that focus on education, and not just education but also the workplace as well, because dyslexia does not just end when you are schooling, it follows you to the workplace. And so with Africa, we don't have any office anywhere, but what we do is we are present now in 32 African countries because we have fellows in these countries. We run a fellowship program, so we train people to represent us to do awareness and advocacy in those various countries. So that's kind of a brief scope of the work we do.
So I asked there about the societal perception about dyslexia.
You went to school, and our viewers, all of them, you went to school, and you definitely sat in the class with a child who was not good. They were teaching them so many times. They were not getting, we were laughing at them, like in our Kan language, you do tear bone and all those things. You're blockheaded, you're lazy, you're stupid, just because this child cannot learn. And so imagine an organization coming in 2020 and saying that no, these children are children who are actually exceptional kids. They are very talented, they are very creative and have an innovative mind. People will be looking at you like, are you joking? What are you trying to do? Are you making excuses for lazy students? And then also, fortunately, unfortunately for us, the word dyslexia sounds so huge. And so the moment our parents, especially here, say they feel like, oh my goodness, my child, you say my child is sick. Something is wrong with my child, because some of them, they take their kids when they are not performing well in school to go to prayer camps. Somebody's bewitching my child, and so let me go and pray so that their mind will open and they can learn. And so that kind of cultural sense is really still there, and we try to change the perspective or the narratives around it so that these kids will be given support. In actual fact, they are kids that can learn. They are very highly intelligent. In this world, as you can see there, most of the world millionaires are dyslexics. So, for example, you're talking about Richard Branson of Virgin Atlantic, talking about Steve Jobs of Apple, Will Smith, who is an actor, Leonardo da Vinci, Albert Einstein. Bring it to Ghana. Ochiame Kwame, Denta Amwate, Nana Nsako, Archbishop Dr. Williams. I'm mentioning these names and for you to trace something, or for our viewers to trace something. What are these people doing? They are changing the world. They are making huge impact. Yet, these are also the same students who were in the classroom and being caned and being told that you are not good. You can never amount to anything. But then, thankfully, they didn't stop. They pushed on and they made it, and they are making impact. But there are so many of them who were not able to push on. Dyslexia affects 1 in 5. You're looking at me, who started reading at the age of 17. So being called blockheaded. But today I've been like going around the world. I've been working in my hospitality industry, doing the things that I love to do. When society told me some decades ago that you can never make it. So imagine the many of me who never made it. It's just a minute of us who made it. So how can we support those who are there and they are going to lose the opportunity to realize who they are in life? And that's what our work is about.
All right, so at this point, I was ready to go deeper into the situation. So I asked them to talk to us about how the organization started.
Well, 7 years ago, or let's say 8 years now. So 8 years ago, I discovered to be dyslexic. Proud to that, I've always questioned what was wrong with me, even though I had made it through school in a very uncommon way, if I would say. After BEC, I failed, and so I never went to high school. Someone who is a friend just advised that I'll go to a culinary school because I know you love cooking. And through that, I did, went to a culinary school, came into the industry, started practicing as a young chef. And then once I got to mature student entrance exam age mark, I stood for that exams and then made my way into the university and read hospitality management. So during my master's time was when I discovered. So all this time I was doing very well. After culinary school, started working, going to university, was doing so well. But I always asked myself something like, why are you so not good with school? Like, it was even challenging for me at the university because there were still words that I cannot pronounce. And so I was always kind of really shying away. You are my friend, but you never know my challenges because I have a way of masking it and just come in like, oh yeah, she's also good. No, I was never good. And so when this continued, I kept trying to find out. And when I was doing my master's, a lecturer of mine asked if I'm dyslexic because obviously he's my professor who was looking after my work, and so I'm sure he saw those traits and he was exposed to what dyslexia is. And so he asked and I was like, what do you mean? And so he handed me a website to go and read about it, and oh my, almost everything that the website described was me. I was like, this is talking to me. And so I went back, told him, and he said, I think you are dyslexic, so have an assessment done. And then I got assessments. And it turned out I have severe dyslexia. Wow. So what is dyslexia? Then I started reading more about it and realizing, okay, so it actually means a way that my mind is programmed, that I fall on my right brain, which is my creative. No wonder I'm very good. No matter the job I put my hand to, I will do it at the best most. Like over this weekend, I was trying to set up my Google Workspace where I've brought in somebody to help me for weeks. They cannot do. I just went on YouTube, watched a 12-minute video, and I was able to set up the entire system for our organization myself. So then it doesn't mean I am not good. So I was like, okay, wait a minute. If that's the case, then when we were in school, I wasn't the only one. So let me start tracing back. Where is these people where they were calling us like Mutia born together? So where are my colleagues? And you hear, oh, this person is in a village. They have 6 kids. They can't take care of themselves. And it really broke me and saddened me. So I came back to Ghana and started asking around. I would visit schools, speak to head of schools and ask them if they know about dyslexia. And by the way, dyslexia is not the only learning challenge. We have dyscalculia, which has to do with mathematics, dysgraphia, handwriting, so many of them. And I go to these schools and I realized they don't know about it. I go to the Ministry of Education They don't know about it. And so that prompts me to take the inclusive education policy and went through it. And I realized, we have inclusive education policy, but it's not as holistic that it's addressing the need of everyone. So how can we achieve inclusivity when others' needs are not being addressed because you see me and I don't have a physical challenge? And so that sets the tone for the foundation of Africa Dyslexia Organization, where we want to be that organization that brought that awareness, that brought that advocacy, and also providing support. So these children who are like me can also make it in life without going through the path that I went through. Because the path I went through, it's easy for anybody to drop off. And so that is why we started the Africa Dyslexia Organization.
We'll be right back.
Success is a product of hard and wise work. Here's 60-second success with the Bishop. Stay tuned.
Welcome to 60 Second Success with the Bishop, where I give you success nuggets for a successful life. In order to achieve success, there must be the right mix of various factors: discipline, determination, excellence, patience, integrity, hard and wise work. Success doesn't happen automatically. Success happens intentionally. To succeed in life, you must build capacity enough to be able to rise above the challenges and difficulties of life. Challenges don't discriminate. Challenges don't differentiate. Challenges are inevitable. Challenges don't escape race. Challenges don't escape status. Challenges don't escape gender. No matter who you are, you will encounter challenges. Remember that your ability to rise above challenges is integral and necessary on your success journey. It has taken 60 seconds for me to give you this success tip, but it will take more than 60 seconds for you to put it to work in your life. So start your journey to success now.
Welcome back.
The issue of dyslexia is quite interesting. I went forward to ask what the level of awareness in Ghana about dyslexia was like.
Now, even 2016 in Ghana, I feel like education especially should be very aware of this. All educators, everybody in education. So if you don't know, then how are you supporting the kids in the classroom? Because every classroom you go, there are kids we have put in behind that, oh, these ones, don't mind them. They just waste time. They can never learn. Why should it be so for Ghana as a country? And we are an example country for many countries on the continent. So why is it that we don't know? Or is it that somebody knows and we are not talking about it or not doing anything about it?
Well, so before I continue, let me say a very big thank you to my very special guest, Rosalind Trenati. Thank you so much. She's the Executive Director for the African Dyslexia Organization. Thank you, Rosalind, for sharing your time, your experience with us. Thank you so much. I went ahead to ask Rosalind about the fact that dyslexia is not very well known in Ghana and all that, for whatever reason. But I'm thinking that we should have a certain understanding of it. So I asked her to explain dyslexia to me as somebody that doesn't know anything at all about dyslexia.
So the thing about how I will explain dyslexia is, and I'm very careful in this and I give caution. With all this that I said, doesn't mean that currently, if there is a child in a classroom who is not doing well, it means that they are dyslexic. No. it goes way beyond that. There are signs that you observe, and then after that, you let somebody who is licensed to perform assessments do a thorough assessment with your child before you can then conclude whether the child is dyslexic. And I'll give you an example. There was a student we engaged, and everybody thought, oh, with what you're saying, then we think the child is dyslexic. So let's have assessment. That they did assessment, and you could see that now we need to check. Let's check the eye of the child, and they check. The child is in the classroom and not seeing the board. So that has affected his learning ability. And so once they gave the right prescription to the child and interval learning, this child started picking up. So this child is not dyslexic. So if we are not careful, we misjudge and say that everybody who is not doing well is dyslexic. Maybe the other side also is the teacher is not teaching right. So, does the teacher in the classroom know how to teach in a multi-sensory way? Do they teach in a tactile approach, kinesthetic, visual, reading and writing, auditory? Are they able to utilize all these? If they do, and some children are still struggling, then maybe there is a tendency. Okay, so now back to the definition. If you know your child is struggling to read and write at a level age, so your child is reading below a certain level age, and you have seen that, okay, this child omits words when they are reading, they jump lines when they are reading, they cannot recall the words on page 1 when they go to page 2, they write D as B or P, or use 9 in replacement of P. Those little mistake. If your child have delayed speech, and now again with delayed speech, because all the neural spectrums are having some form of, so we have to also be careful. You cannot just pick one and say that, oh, then the child is. So it has to be a sequence of observation and symptoms that you see. Then you can then say that, okay, let me now get a professional support. So your child is 11, but your child is reading below the age of 5. That should be concerning. Or your child is 6, but you expect that at this age should be able to read 3-letter words, 2-letter words, 4-letter words, 5-letter words. They cannot. Then start paying attention.
So at this point, I asked Rosalind how the identification and assessment of dyslexia is done.
So there's what we call screening. And the teachers that come to our trainings are taken through a form of screening where they can perform. So we want our teachers to be able to profile all their learners in the classroom. And you can only do that through screening of your students. The reason why I use screening is currently what we use in assessing the abilities of our kids are exams, right? Yeah. And so then you say this person is on 1st to 10th score, so they are good, or this person is this. But then the screening gives everybody a fair chance where there are a set of questionnaires that look at different components of stuff. So reading, writing, identification, comprehending. So it gives different components and also strengths. And so the person takes time and engage all their students to look at it. Oh, okay, Kofi cannot read. However, when I read to Kofi, he can tell me everything that has been read to him. So that's the strength aspect. And so you do that and you're able to profile your students. And the one that you realize that, oh, there is an issue here, this is where there needs to be a conversation with your head of school, yourself as a teacher, and the parents of the child. Because you cannot just take somebody's child and say, go for screening. And then we have to also be mindful when we are engaging the parents, because depending on how you present it to them, they will accept or reject. And so you need to find a very nice way of putting it together. We have seen that your child is struggling in this way and this way. And we think we may have to look at what is going on together with you. Give that parent also an assignment. Observe the child when they are home and let us know. So it's like you involving them before you finally drop and say that I think maybe we should get somebody outside this school to check what the strength of your child is. And then by education, you lead the parents onto that, and then you can find out.
So the thing is, can such an assessment be done here in Achimota?
That is National Assessment Center. All the learning difficulties assessment there. Yeah, currently the people who does it are the clinical psychologists who do the assessments there. But I feel Ghana can do better. Not just for the dyslexia or whatever, but it's a national assessment center for everything. So I feel like it can be better. And I mean, I've been telling them what is there. So if Accra is like this, then you can imagine the parents who is calling me from Takwa. There is nothing there. If they are not coming to Accra, I'm sorry. There is nothing. This is the reality on the ground. However, for assessment, since it's a clinical psychologist, you could also go to places like Kolebu, Rich Hospital, different hospitals may have. But when it comes to hospitals, I always have a bit of feeling to it because of our parents and their mindsets on stigmatization. Dyslexia is not an illness. We are not going to give the child a medication. So the moment you tell a parent, go to Kolebu or Rich Hospital for an assessment, in their mind, you're telling them dyslexia is a sickness and therefore take your child to a hospital. And so I'm very mindful when I have to even talk to them and let them understand why they can go there. So that's also one way about it. But as a country, I feel we can do so much. And if the government will listen and engage us, we could help.
So I asked Rosalind whether she would define dyslexia as a disability.
Dyslexia is defined as a disability currently. There's also a lot of research that is going on that is saying that it shouldn't be putting under disability. But what it is now, the International Dyslexia Organization defines it as a disability. And so it stays till I've seen that they're doing a research on redefining it, and it's currently ongoing. So for now, it is. In the UK, it is also putting under disability because that's the only way currently people can access support. Because in the UK, if you are dyslexic, you get a lot of accessibility from assistive technologies, from support in education, and I think they even get some money as well from it. So yes, currently it is under disability.
So with this, I went on to ask her how it can be managed. How do we manage dyslexia?
You can never take away the person being dyslexic because as the person is dyslexic, it comes with other strength as well. So the moment you take that away, it's like you're taking away the whole being of the person. However, early intervention is key. So when intervention is administered very well, that child will read, that child will spell, that child will write, and they will be so good. I personally know dyslexics who are lawyers. Okay, I know dyslexics who have ended up being medical doctors, researchers, because the intervention was given to them. However, as a dyslexic, you are always a dyslexic. Yeah.
So with this said, I went ahead to ask Rosalind some of the challenges that come with living with dyslexia.
I still struggle even with my left and right. So for example, I'm coming to you and you say, take your left. Sometimes I forget what it is my left. So I have to remind my body and be like, which part of my body is left? and then I'll remember. I also still struggle, especially because I never had intervention. So I still make the bad grammatical errors. I struggle to spell. I make terrible mistakes. Thankfully, a lot of assistive technology of speech to text to speech. And so I utilize them to my advantage. Another thing is also I spend a lot of time on working on assignments. I'll produce the best of assignments because most dyslexic quality is the hallmark. However, before I arrive there, you know that if you are burning 1 hour, I'm burning probably 8 hours to produce the same work you have produced. However, the probability that my work will be taken is higher because I have to check every dot before I submit. So yeah, the struggle is still there.
We'll be right back.
It's the music segment on the Helping Hand TV show.
I am who I am because of you. If it had not been for you, tell me where would I be? I was lost and sinking deep in sin. Yeah. But you reached out your hands and rescued me. No one can do the things you do for me. Oh, no one else but you. I am who I am because of you. Yeah. If it had not been for you, tell me where would I be? I was lost and sinking deep in sand. Oh, but you reached out your hand and rescued me. No one can do the things you do for me. Oh, no one else but you. But on, yeah, but on, yeah, but no, no one else but you. But on, yeah, no job, but on, yeah, but no, no one else but you. Never thought that you could love someone like me. Together be alive for me, yeah. You even go on and call me your very own, yeah. So grateful for your love, your mercy and grace. No one can do the things you do for me, yeah. No one else but you. But none, yeah. But none, yeah. But no, no one else but you. But none, yeah. No job, but none, yeah. But no, no one else but you. Cha-cha, makabani, tamabo. But none, yeah. But none, yeah. Cha-cha, makabani, tamabo. But none, yeah. But none, yeah. Cha-cha, makabani, tamabo. But none, yeah. But none, yeah. Cha-cha, makabani, tamabo. But none, yeah. But none, yeah. Moko, 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 bani, tamabo. Moko, 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 bani, tamabo. Moko, moko, bani, tamabo. But none, yeah. But none, yeah. Moko, 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 bani, tamabo. Moko, moko, bani, tamabo. Moko, bani, tamabo. But none, yeah. But none, yeah. Moko, moko, bani, tamabo. Moko, 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 bani, tamabo. Moko, moko, bani, tamabo. But none, yeah. But none, yeah. But none, yeah. no, yeah, but no, no one else but you, but no, yeah, no chopper, no, yeah, but no, no one else but you.
Welcome back.
All right. So at this point, we have heard so much about dyslexia, and I went ahead to ask what some of the causes could be for dyslexia.
Okay, so our research hasn't gone into that. However, there has been a couple of research that says that the environment is also as a contribution. So, for example, it's genetic. Dyslexia is genetic, so it has to be somebody in the family. It doesn't have to be just my immediate parent, maybe grandparents be, and it could also be your immediate parents. So it's genetic, and the actual thing that happens for it to happen has never been identified per all the research. But in recent time, there has been a couple of them that says that they feel like the things we are exposed to when we are pregnant, the food intake, the medication intake can also have some form of contribution to it, but it hasn't really been able to say this is an actual fact that we have, that we know that this can impact a child's ability when they are growing up to when it comes to learning.
So my guest, Rosalind Nate, is the executive director for the African Dyslexia Organization. So I went ahead to ask her that as an organization, how can the organization help Ghana to effectively handle our children with dyslexia?
As an organization, what we can do on our part is to intensify the awareness so parents know about it. A lot of teachers are trained, and one of the things on my heart is for us to partner with a lot of training institutions, like the teacher training colleges, so we can offer a model of dyslexia courses there. So before teachers come, they are well versed in this. They have some form of understanding and some form of strategies to be able to support our kids. And then with the National Teaching Council, be able to offer also training for those who are already on the field. If we don't do this as a national agenda, it's going to fall short. But we as an organization, as you can see, we are a very young organization. We can only do what we can.
Well, as a disability advocate, I took the opportunity to also ask Rosalind about her opinion concerning the most pressing need. What is it that is the most pressing need for the disability community in Ghana?
We need policies that works. Okay, Ghana, we are very good in drafting policies, but implementation is not there. We're talking about the inclusive education policy alone. In 2016 was when you did it. And I'll tell you, in 2024, there are teachers we have encountered that don't know about the policy. So, why would we have such a policy sitting at the ministry or sitting at the GES or other places when the people that are to utilize the policy don't know what it is, what it entails, how they can implement it? And so when you ask the question about what can be done, it is hard when implementation, it's not our core as a country. So I don't know what policies you put in place. Now you go to places that have marked places for people with assistance, and you even see people parking. People who don't need assistance are parking there. So it tells you the policy isn't working. The enforcement isn't there. Once we are deliberate about it, we are enforcing it, then we can add on. But if the ones that we have is not being implemented, what do we need to even add on? We are in the modern world, and inclusion is very important. 30 is when we are supposed to achieve what? Inclusivity, SDG 4, and then SDG 8 for employment, and 10 for reduce inequality. If we don't do it holistic in addressing everybody, then sorry, we're not going to achieve it.
Well, according to research, dyslexia is a condition of neurodevelopmental origin that mainly affects the case with which a person reads, writes, and spells, typically recognized as a specific learning disorder in children. There are several kinds of learning disabilities. Dyslexia is a term used when people have trouble learning to read, even though they are smart enough and they want to learn. It's important to note that dyslexia is not a disease. It is a condition someone is born with, and it often runs in families. People with dyslexia are not stupid or lazy. Most have average or above average intelligence, and they work very hard to overcome their reading problem. Research has shown that dyslexia happens because of a difference in the way the brain processes information. Pictures of the brain show that when people with dyslexia read, they use different parts of the brain than people without dyslexia. These pictures also show that the brains of people with dyslexia don't work efficiently during reading. So that is why reading seems like such slow, hard work. Most kids begin learning to read by learning how speech sounds make up words. That is their phonemic awareness, and then connecting those sounds to alphabet letters. That is the phonics. Then they learn how to blend those sounds into words, and eventually they can recognize words they've seen many times before. Reading is a little like riding a bike. It requires doing many things at once with precise timing. With practice, typical readers gradually learn to read words automatically so they can focus their mental energy on comprehending and remembering what they've read. So kids with dyslexia, though, have trouble with phonemic awareness and phonics. So reading doesn't become automatic and stays slow and labored. When a child struggles with these beginning steps in reading, comprehension is bound to suffer and frustration is likely to follow. A common assumption about dyslexia is that letters or words appear reversed, so that was, WAS, appears like SAW, SAW. Now, this type of problem can be a part of dyslexia, but reversals are very common with kids up until first and second grade, not just kids with dyslexia. The major problem for kids with dyslexia is in phonemic awareness, phonics, and rapid word recognition. Well, I believe that we have had enough information about dyslexia, and we'll take good care of our kids, and we'll be very, very aware and alert to notice these symptoms in our children with dyslexia. Let me say a very, very big thank you to Rosalind Trenate, the Executive Director for the African Dyslexia Organization, for sharing her experience with us, for sharing her life with us. Rosalind, thank you so much. Special thanks also goes to the H4P Organization for making sure that the public education and awareness keeps going on week in, week out. Thank you so much, guys. Special thanks to DV Unlimited Company Limited and FCC Fast Chapel, my proud sponsors. Thank you so much for making this happen. And special thanks also goes to those who contribute to H4P through the mobile money system. Thank you so much. God richly, richly bless you. It goes a long way to encourage us in what we do. So if you are not as yet part of those who contribute to H4P through the mobile money system, prayerfully think about it and lend us a helping hand. Thank you so much. I'll come your way again, same time next week. Until then, remember, disability is not inability. Stay safe, take care of yourselves, and God richly bless you. Bye for now.